My name is Sandra Slone, and I live at 208 Charles Street, and these two people to my left live down the street. I know that they moved in like a couple years ago, but I never had the chance to meet them. Don't know anything about them, didn't know that they had dogs. And it was about 5:40 in the evening, and I was sitting in my living room, and I live on a street that's only a block long, where you don't have, I have two neighbors that have two mastiffs that bark occasionally, but barking dogs is not an issue on my street. So about 5:40 in the afternoon on Sunday, March 31st, I was on the phone talking to my husband when I was in my living room, and I heard snarling and growling dogs and barking. And I thought to myself, wow, they're really loud today. I was thinking it was the dogs across the street. And I walked into the kitchen to get a cup of coffee, and I realized that this snarling and growling wasn't coming from across the street. So I went to my front door to see what the noise was. And the front of my house, the door's in the middle of the house, and there's about 12 feet on the right and 12 feet on the left, and in the corner just to the corner of the front of my house, sits an igloo. And it used to belong to a pit bull that I had, but he passed away, and my cat kind of adopted his igloo for its home. And my cat I got my cat 10 years ago. And she rescued him. And anyway, 10 years ago, when I got the cat, anyway, Felix, he was a cat that wasn't used to being in the house. And anyway, after a while, he became domesticated, and he belonged to a neighbor. And he used to come over and play. We had 3 dogs. And he used to come over and play with the dogs, and then, I don't know, he just wouldn't go back to the neighbor's house. So after some convincing or whatever, we kind of adopted Felix 10 years ago. And Felix mostly was an indoor cat, but occasionally he went outside. When he went outside, he was usually in the front yard, except to visit 3 neighbors. One was a 90-year-old lady. One was a lady down the street who, I don't know why he liked her, but he'd go down her house and eat and sleep. And then there was a neighbor across the street that he had no shame in his game when it came to her getting no treats. But other than visiting those 3 neighbors, Felix never left my yard. And I had an igloo out front, and he loved to sit. Either he would lay in the grass, or he would sit in his igloo on a rainy or windy day, and he would be in there sometimes 6-8 hours a day just watching stuff go down the street. And anyway, so I heard this snarling and growling, and I thought, what the hell is that? Where is this noise coming from? And I'm saying this to my husband on the phone. And I opened the door, and all I could see was the front of the igloo, the doorway, and I saw the ass ends of 2 dogs. And they were like how you would play with a dog with a toy. They were rustling inside of the hole of the igloo, and I knew my cat was in there. And I started screaming, and I knew if I went out there, I probably would be killed. So thank God I kept my wits about me, and she had a pair of shoes sitting by the front door. So I took the shoes, and I hit each one of them in the ass end, and when I hit them, they really became enraged. And they were tussling, and this igloo was for a pit bull, so it was probably like this high and this wide. And anyway, they really began tussling, and the next thing you know, the lid to the igloo popped off, and which isn't easy to begin with. So the lid to the igloo popped off, and at that point, I saw Felix come out And all I could scream was Felix, and he looked at me and he ran. And I had pictures.
Of where their house is?
Of where his igloo is in my yard. He ran out to the street and he ran 362 feet down to the lady's house that he used to visit and sit in her yard when she did yard work with. And in the back of her house, she has a stairwell that goes down into a basement. I watched these dogs chase my cat until he got out of sight. He went through his gate, her gate. And I watched him get out of sight, and I could hear the snarling and growling of his dogs. In the meantime, I had hung up with my husband, and I called Anne Arundel County Police to come to my aid. When I called the police, I was out in the middle of the street hollering for Felix, praying that he got away, that these dogs, did he run up a tree? I don't know what I thought. And I wouldn't go into the back of that yard because I knew that it was probably dangerous for myself. So Officer Seifert came and he went into the backyard. And when he went onto the porch, he told me that he saw the dogs down in the stairwell with my cat. And anyway, he just told me he saw this was later that I found out that he saw the dogs down in the stairwell with my cat. So I was standing up on the street looking down towards their house, and the next thing I know, I saw the police officer come from the rear of Judy's house, and I know it was him. I'm not sure if it was her with him that day or some other girl. And I saw the two Rottweilers in there. They had him by the collar, and they took him into the house. Still didn't know my cat was dead. So I'm outside screaming for my cat the whole time. And this probably went on for probably close to an hour before I was informed that my cat was dead. And anyway, my neighbors were all out. We were all searching for Felix, thinking that he just got away. And at one point, they took their dogs into their home, and then they walked up and they were, I don't know what they were gonna say to the police officer or whatever. And I looked at him and I said, "You better hope your dogs didn't hurt my cat." Now, I've never met this man, and at least the last people, they got an apology. He looked at me and he said in front of Officer Seifert and the other two officers, "Mind your business, bitch." So I still didn't know my cat was dead. So I was ready to go off. And the police officers informed me to go up to my house so that there would be a confrontation. So I did. I listened to him. And I went home, and a couple of minutes later, a police officer came up to my house. It wasn't Seifert, it was another one. And he asked me for a picture of Felix, my cat. And I didn't even think, why was he asking me for a picture of my cat? I thought, in case they found the cat wandering in the neighborhood. So I gave him a picture of the cat, and he left. And I'm still waiting for somebody to come up and tell me what the heck's going on. And about half an hour later, I'm looking out the window, and I still see, there's a whole lot more police activity. So I'm thinking, why the hell are they still here? So I walked down to where Felix was killed, and I asked them, I said, I started to walk in the backyard, and the guy told me I couldn't go back there. And I said, "Sure I can, Judy." I said, "The lady lives here, she wasn't home." I said, "She doesn't care if I come in her yard." I said, "I come in here all the time." He said, "No." I said, "You can't come in." And I said, "Is there a dead animal back there?" And it was something just told me. And there's also a cat called Harry, the homeless cat, who
we take care of.
That we take care of, and he frequents Judy's house.
He's a feral.
So I said to the officer, he said yes. Anyway, he answered me yes, that there was a dead animal back there. And I said, "Is he red and white?" Now my cat Felix is black and white, and he looked at me like, "Red and white?" I said, you know, brown and white, red and white, orange and white, whatever color you call that cat. And he looked at me and he said, no, there's one that's black and white. Well, I just lost it. And he asked me if I'll go in the back and look at the cat. And so he took me down into the stairwell. And I have pictures of what my cat looked like.
This is him in the stairwell.
2 minutes before he got to that house. My cat, 6 weeks prior, had a tumor between his testicles and his penis.
On his prepuce.
Removed at a cost of $1,000. Well, I didn't have to worry about it being removed that day because he ripped his balls off.
They took. Let me speak. I'm her daughter. Felix was technically my cat. I rescued Felix 10 years ago from a neighbor who had 4 cats. He dug 4 holes. No. He ran 3 of them over with the lawnmower, and Felix was the only one I could save. For 10 years, I took care of this cat. I have no kids. Felix was my kid. He was 24 and a half pounds. He was over-nutritionalized according to the doctors, but I just said he had big bones. I loved my cat. I have a million pictures of my cat. I do TNR in my neighborhood, trap, neuter, and release, because I believe in saving all animals. That day when I got home, because my mom started calling saying Felix was being chased, and I tried to get there because I would have been bit saving my animal. I washed his dead body and his nudicles fell out in my hand because he no longer had testicles. At which point in time, I did become enraged because I know this man. I cut his 3 feet tall grass when he offered me $10 because he had no lawnmower. At which point in time, the house that's next door to him, I helped that lady cut her grass for free all the time. He has to come out and put Reese, which was the dog that's euthanized, up when I'm in the backyard because Reese is very vicious at the fence. Mr. Wormley had sent me a text message telling me, and I have it on my phone, that if I would have been a grown-up about this, he would have just got me another shelter pet. That as if Felix's life didn't matter. $1 million wouldn't replace my cat, and another cat from here wouldn't replace Felix. He was family. And in the same text message, and I can show it to you, this man says they took both of my dogs. So what? They're animals. I'll just get 2 more. People like him should not have animals. When you allow your dogs to do what they did to my cat, and they euthanize your dogs, and you don't give a damn that your dogs are going down, and you figure you just get 2 more like a pair of shoes, you don't deserve animals. If you raise your dogs like this, what do you raise your kids like? This is not a person who should ever get this dog back. These dogs are left out. Originally, when they first moved in, they had a different dog with Reese, and they had him on a 1-foot chain, and it was wrapped around a tree. And for an hour and a half, we watched these dogs struggle because they couldn't get off. They intertwined their leashes and were stuck to the tree, and I called Anne Arundel County Police to come help because animal control was closed. For an hour and a half, he sat in his house and refused to go out and help them dogs to get free and bring them in. He turns his dog loose in the backyard and leaves it there for hours on end. This is not the first time his dogs were free, and it wasn't the last time. The day that animal control did not take his dogs, the day that my dog died.
Your cat.
My cat, excuse me. The next day, his dogs got loose again. They chased the neighbor and his son into their house and proceeded to rip off his screen door, trying to get to them, at which point in time, Eric called Arundel County Police because he feared for his life and his son's life. This is not an animal that should not be returned. He should not be able to own any animals. He's since got another dog because I've seen it at that house. As if they're just shoes. These are animals. These animals have feelings. My Felix suffered. He suffered. He has a hole where his balls used to be. Nobody should have to go through that.
Ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Today we're just hearing for the running at large, public safety, public nuisance.
I just want them to know what, everything.
Totally, we understand there is a background, but what we're hearing today is on March 31st, 2019, where the event happened with your cat.
So they were
This
running
is a-
loose. What
this
else
is
do
a
you wanna
map.
know?
This is a map
We're
of
proving your
where our
case.
house is and where their house is to show you how far their dogs came and then chased my cat back to the house next to theirs. I
He
don't,
was in our yard.
they came to our property. They tore his house apart. They
Here's his
chased them.
funeral papers.
Ma'am, we understand.
I'm sorry.
We.
I suffer from PTSD because of this, because I don't sleep at night. I feel like I hear my cat crying to come home.
Okay, we pretty much got it, and we're sorry for your loss, so we fully understand, but
We
we
don't
want,
really know what else to
I
say.
don't
No,
know what
we-
to say.
we-
I just want you to know my cat, and I want you to know
we understand, ma'am.
what he went through.
Okay, good.
Well, I do want to add one thing also. It wasn't bad enough that he killed the cat that day. Now, like I said, I've never spoken to this man other than those words. You better hope your dog stays on my cat. The next day, this man never uses my street to go out to Ritchie Highway. The next day, he come by, I was sitting out on my front, I smoke, so I don't smoke in my house. So sitting out on my front steps, smoking and drinking coffee, when he come by and he slowed up and he rolled down the window and gave the F-bomb.
You see, that's the part that we don't digest, and we don't do anything with, at least I don't.
I understand that. I just
so-
want
so-
you to know what kind of animal owner you're dealing
And I'm not the
with.
chairperson, I'm a little bit out of order here, but I just want you to know, we want to
I know.
deliberate on
But
what
he could have
happened.
said he was sorry, something.
Okay, all right.
Do you have any more facts you want to add before we?
I don't know what else to say.
Okay,
I think
we'll-
you presented your case very clearly, so. All right, thank you.
On that day, cut dry, on that day, I was in the house taking care of a 3-month-old baby. I have a son, he just had a kid, and I can't be aware of everything that's going on, especially with a 3-month-old. He's hungry, he's tired, he's crying, whining, everything that's going on. I let the dogs out that day to go in our fenced-in backyard. I was not aware that there was a part in our fence that was actually loose, because I guess there's a way that it's got configured, and I called the fence company about it, and since then it's been fixed. But I didn't know it was loose, and apparently there's a part missing, there's a timeline missing of the dogs getting out and getting to the cat or whatever have you. I've never had an incident where my dogs have been out before on the street, because there's never been animal control called about that. There's never been any evidence of that. There's never been any documentation of that, my dogs being out. So my dogs have never been out off our property. This is the first time the dogs got out. Now, the one dog, Reese, is the aggressor dog. She is the older dog of the litter of what we have, and King, which is at home now, that we got back from our dangerous order that we have that was put in place for us, and we have done everything precautionary for our dog. So we have not bought another dog yet. I also have a breeder out in Pennsylvania now that, King, soon, when dogs come in here, their balls are the clip. He was a dog that was supposed to be used for breeding, which he can't be bred now, which is okay. Money stops flowing, but it's all right. I have now another outsource, but that's here nor there. But anyways, so that day that the dogs got out, apparently there's a timeline missing. I think what happened was the cat was already out. As they said, the cat's an outside cat. That's how I put it. And And, you know, when an animal's outside, it's like a squirrel, rabbit, cat, anything, if they're on the street, it's free game. I mean, that's what any animal, a cat, dog, fox, or anything. If a fox sees a cat out on the street, it doesn't matter if that cat lived down the street or was my cat. The fox sees it, the fox is hungry, the fox is gonna go after it. Not saying that my dogs were hungry or anything. But I think what happened was the dogs were playing in the backyard, and I think the cat was seen or something, and they took off after the cat, chased the cat up the street, got loose, and chased it back down the street. After that, I don't know what happened, because like I said, I was in the house. My facts are that it reads here about our dogs, and we have he's a German Cheshire line, and it states right here, which is a big line. It says Rottweilers must be thoroughly socialized at an early age so that their territorial instincts are controlled rather than decimated. Then it says they can be aggressive with other dogs of the same sex. And while many Rottweilers live peacefully with family cats, other individuals are predatory towards cats. So therefore, with that saying there, we have cats in our house. We have 2 cats. We have an orange and white cat, and we have a black cat. Her name is Moon, and what's the other cat's name?
Sugar.
Sugar. I don't mess with the cats. I don't mess with cats, but because I'm allergic to cats. So we have Sugar and we have Moon. We did have another cat named Star. Star will always walk my daughter to school, walk my daughter to the bus stop or whatever, because she became an outside cat. She decided she wanted to go outside and be outside. She got ran over by a car. My daughter found her, and that's unfortunate, and we buried her in the backyard. But needless to say, I was in the house with my daughter, my son that day, and I didn't know. She wasn't home. She has nothing to do with this, honestly. She was at work. She was just doing what she had to do. And she didn't know nothing until she came home. But Reese was put down because I and us as a family collectively felt that she was the aggressor and that she was, she was part of this whole ringleader thing. King's fine. He's home. He's in the house. He goes outside. He goes to the bathroom. He sits by the door. He comes in. He doesn't even like going outside, honestly. And that's all I gotta say. And I don't think that we should have to pay a fine for a dog that's no longer here. I mean, I understand if you may say I have to pay a fine for King, that's fine. I mean, I'm not here to say anything. I'm just here to appeal it to see if I don't have to pay for him. But if I have to pay it, I have to pay it. But Reese, we should have to pay for Reese. Reese's already been put down, already been through enough trauma with the kids and everything, and Reese being gone. I've followed my orders. I'm within standards of my orders for my dangerous orders and everything else. I'm just here for this fine. Nothing more, nothing less.
To interject real quick, this was a fox his dog killed in the same
There is
park.
no
We're not
proof
here
about
for
the
a
fox.
fox. We're here for
I'm
these
just
4
saying, I'm
citations.
just
We don't
saying.
need to see it. We got the point. We got the point. You guys ready to deliberate? Because I think it's pretty cut and dry.
You have anything else to add?
No, I'm done.
Okay, then we're gonna close.
Do you have any more questions? Are we ready to close?
Sure.
Okay, we're closed to public participation. There's no public participation. There are no open deliberations.
All right, so I'm just looking at all 4 of these citations. All 4 of them are for King. He's now admitted that the animal was running at large.
There's 4 more for the other dog.
Yeah.
You just have to
Right.
read scrolling through them.
Right, well, no, the ones that, all right.
You can go to the next yellow tab.
Okay.
The second dog.
All right, so, all right, I see what you're saying. Well, for anyway, for the 4 for King, pretty cut and dry. He's running at large. Public nuisance, I mean, I think all these things are pretty cut and dry. I mean, he pretty well admitted that the animals were out and about and doing whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, I feel like all the citations should be up on,
Yeah, I never saw these other ones, so I'm just looking through them.
all 8.
Is the 4, there's identical for each dog?
4 for each.
I got you. Oh, the yellow threw me off here. Yeah. I'm not hearing anything that would say that any of these should be dropped.
Not either.
Somebody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to uphold all 8 citations, 4 for each dog.
Thank you.
Second.
Second it?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Okay, where do we go pay it? Can we go pay in there?
Tiffany?
Thank
We have-
you.
We have a question for you.
All right, cool.
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Elizabeth?
Thank you.